Welcome to episode 2 of the Speaking of Krump podcast. With me, CrookedDistrict, and I am joined by my crew member. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Repz, aka Girl Riot.
Yes. So you were here for episode 1 as well. Now we're on episode 2. We're going to switch it up. I think I want to bring other members of House of Thieves. Other UK Krump is on as well. That's the ambition anyways.
Yeah.
So we'll get around to that eventually. But it's going to be a long evening. I'll tell you for why. Because tomorrow we're going to have a very, very long day.
Well, in a few hours, the day starts because we have to get up at dumb o'clock.
Dumb o'clock.
Which is about 2 a.m. to leave to get to the airport for 3 a.m.
Yeah. I don't know why we do it. Well, actually, no, I do know why we do it.
Yeah.
It's for the sake of Krump.
Yeah, for the love of Krump.
Yeah, I haven't booked off any time off work or anything like that. So, like, I was debating, I could just chill this weekend, but no, instead I'll do that 2 a.m. trip to Holland, Utrecht, of all places.
Yeah, love the Holland scene. So shout out to the Holland scene. Haven't been there since before COVID, so I'm really excited to go back there. Last time I went was 2019, December 2019, blockout battle.
Yeah, it must have been. Yeah,
and I had
yeah.
my the last exhibition battle I had in Holland was Junior Massive, and then after that COVID, and then haven't been back there since. So
yeah.
I'm excited, and I see they're popping, see their footage all the time. They're very consistent, really dope scene. So I'm really excited to vibe with them again.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bit of a breath of fresh air, sort of going back into a scene that's just always been so welcoming. But I say that actually, but I have one memory. I have a bad memory of Holland, right? I went to an event. This was quite a few years ago, right? 7 to Smoke, and I got past the pre-selection, so it was all good until I battled Quez, and this guy tore me apart.
Oh no!
I think it's one of those few battles that I'd say I genuinely got killed off, and it's been like at the forefront of my lab every day ever since. I can't go back and get killed off again. So it was one of those moments where, I thought to myself, I was watching him slowly but surely kill me off, and I was thinking, you know what? I need to improve. I need to get better.
Well,
but,
see, you don't lose, you learn.
Yeah, all right. I like that.
Yeah.
I definitely learned a lot from that battle. That was quite some time ago now. But it was. There's no official footage, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Yeah, yes. It's somewhere out there in the ether that of me getting just.
So how many years ago was this then?
This was. I actually want to say 5 years ago. I'd have to double check, but it was quite some time ago. It might have been actually before
2018.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it was before you came into the scene.
Yeah, well, I came in. I decided my Krump journey started in the middle of 2017. It was July 2017, and that's when I was like, I'm gonna learn Krump. But I'd been around Krump before that.
Yeah.
And I actually had big homies, but I wasn't labbing, I wasn't into Krump. I just didn't connect with Krump, but I loved watching Krump. So that was where I didn't watch footage, so I didn't know who anyone was. And what's weird is me and Brace, who's behind the camera, who doesn't want to get involved, we were watching old footage the other day. We were actually watching one of your old events that you've done. I think it was Prove Your Bark.
Well, that feels like a flashback now, yeah.
And I went because a couple of your little homies were my good friends, and I'd always go to support them wherever they went, but I wasn't into Krump myself. And they'd be like, just do the pre-selection. We need as many people as possible. So I went in, hadn't labbed, I was a B-girl then. I was doing house dance. I was hip hop, not Krump. But I entered the pre-selection and obviously didn't get through because I wasn't a Krumper. But we were watching it, and and there's like people there, like Wrestler, Trouble,
Yeah,
Wolf.
yeah,
I was
back in the
standing
day.
next to them. I didn't even know who they were. And then I was like, why did they make me enter when they had these people there? It was a setup. But yeah, so yeah.
I think that's really, really cool. I think it must be such a weird feeling, sort of not knowing who anyone was. But now when you see them now, they're like, yo, that's Repz, that's Girl Riot right there.
Because like I said, 2017, the middle of that, it was like June, July. That's when I was like, you know what? I'm gonna learn Krump. And then a few months later, I went to Ireland, Clash of the Cultures. Then a couple of weeks later, I went to EBS. A couple of weeks later after that, I went to Holland. And then a couple of weeks later after that, I went to Germany again. In 6 months of like me starting to learn Krump, I went to EBS. I went to Holland. And then I went again for their I went before for their EBS qualification, I think. I don't know, but I went to...
It's too many to remember.
Yeah, so I went to Ireland, Germany, Holland, Czech Republic, and then I went to Illis. Czech Republic was for Buckyard, and then Illis in Paris. In the first 6 months of me, like, yeah, I'm going to learn to Krump. And when I look back at it now, I'm like, I went in. I was like, okay, I'm dedicated. But before that, I was actually around Krump. I got your little homies that I was talking about before, Hunter, aka
Young CrookedDistrict.
CrookedDistrict, but who was he first? Because he was District.
He was
before...
CrookedDistrict.
He was CrookedDistrict.
Yeah. Before I sort of combined those names together.
And Lee was Boy Crook.
Yeah, Boy Crook in the CrookedDistrict.
Yeah, and then you combine the fams, and then their ranks changed. So I actually got them into Krump. I got Lee into Krump first.
Yeah.
And I used to go to this event it's not an event. It was a Hooch, who runs the UK B-Boy Champs. He used to do, so shout out Hooch. He used to do a night every Saturday in London at the Bowery, all for street dancers to just come and just dance, just vibe, have that social element. And one of the DJs put on Anti-Up, and then there was a few compers in the crowd, and then they just started. I don't know who they were. I think Turbo was actually one of them, and then a few others. And they were just like getting off, and that was the first time I saw Krump. I was like, what is this? And then someone was like, oh yeah, that's Krump. And then I was like, okay, Lee needs to learn this, because I just saw
something in it.
Yeah, I saw him straight away, and I was like, yeah, Lee needs to learn this. And he was my student at the time.
Yeah.
And so I got people down to come and teach workshops and show Lee, like, because obviously I didn't know Krump, so I had to get people down who knew Krump to my dance school, and and got him to like start learning Krump. And as I like predicted, he fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And then he met you, and then became in your fam, and then obviously along that, before that, Lee got Dan into it, and then a few others. Then House of Thieves was created.
Yeah.
And then they were like, all our sessions, we used to have like a mixed all-style sessions. I'll be like practicing house or hip-hop or b-boying. And eventually the music was just changing to Krump all the time. And then they were in the corner all the time. And I was just on my own, like, oh, I've got no friends anymore. They're all just over there in the corner, like, being buck. And I'm just like... Anyone want to throw down with me? And so I kind of would just stand there and hype them, and then they'd be like, just do this. And
that's how it begins.
Yeah.
Just let me show you one move, and the next thing you know, you're in it for years.
Like I to be honest, I hated it. I loved watching it, but I hated doing it. But I was just like, I don't want to lose my friends. So
you had to.
So I had to like just jump in on the session and like humor them into like teaching me this combo, and I was just like, yeah, but I don't understand it. And yeah, so that was a good like couple of years, and I was just like, weren't for me. And even when I started learning back in, like when I said in 2017, it was Build Your Hype. I actually went there to see Lee, because Lee said, come meet me at Build Your Hype, because this is when he was living in London. And he said, come meet me at Build Your Hype, hadn't seen you in ages. I was like, okay, cool. So got the location and everything, went there to go see him, and he didn't turn up. So then again, I was stuck around a load of crumpers, me not really crumping, and I was like, well, what do I do now? So then I had to get involved, and then everyone was like really kind, really welcoming. So I was like, I kind of like these people. They seem really cool. They seem really nice. And I'm gonna learn. And then
that's it. It started taking you on a huge journey.
Here I am now.
Lovely. It's funny because I actually had a little bit of a similar story. When people ask me how did you get into Krump, to put it simply, it was peer pressure. You know, I remember I was at college, and there was a guy in the year above me, right, and he was doing this weird dance, this angry dance, and all the music was just like super angry sounding, you know.
Different.
Yeah, super different, and I didn't really know what to make of it, right? But then, it was like, because I was on a contemporary dance course, right? But okay. I was, well, I don't want to say too much, but I was learning popping and house and stuff like this from YouTube tutorial videos and things like this. So I wasn't good. I was never a popper, but I thought I had a little thing or two, a little arm wave or whatever, a little boogaloo. And then and this guy said, yeah, you should come train with me. And I didn't know what he was doing at all. This guy, he actually turned out to be a very, very good friend of mine. You've met well, his name's Richard, but Big Sphinx.
Oh yeah, I met. Yeah, because that, when I went to Bristol, it was literally that month when I said, okay, I'm going to start learning Krump. And then Lee and Dan, who I've talked about before, they said, oh, we're going to Bristol. Crook's going to hold a workshop and like a session and stuff. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll come. Because I'm like Miss Enthusiastic. And like, so that was the first thing I went to after I said, right, I'm going to learn. So I went to Bristol.
Full circle, yeah. But he, I guess I would. He never gave me a rank, but he was like my first big homie, right? And he introduced me to the rest of a crew that was based in Bristol at the time, Bangtown, and I was just really happy to hang out with some like more of these like underground street dancers. I was really interested. I was watching a lot of battles and things like that on YouTube, but I didn't really know where to go. So finally, like. He said, yeah, come to a Krump session, and it was actually there was a 2v2 street battle. I think these guys have called each other out beforehand. So I'm there, and I was super dorky and nerdy at the time, so I didn't know what to do with myself, and I'm just watching these Krumpers just go at it, and I'm there thinking, where's all the boogaloo and arm waves and stuff like this, you know? But it's just something about the energy, and I think you'll agree, like the energy. It's so different to any other dance style.
That's literally what pulled me in. I was like, because I was literally in a club, so the energy is high anyway, and it just took that one song to like hit them, and the whole energy changed. The energy was good before, but this was good, but it was it was like, I don't know, it was crazy. So I was just like, what is that? And I loved watching it, and you felt it, like yeah. And that's just what draws. I think everyone who comes into Krump, this is something that they're looking for. It's like I've heard it compared to like like extreme sports. Like you have just your regular sports, but the Krump is the equivalent of the extreme sports for the dance world. Yeah, and I think that's such a good comparison. I think. When I first like really started to take Krump seriously in, I want to say 2010 or 2011. Wow. Yeah, I was a youngin' back then. I had more energy back then. And then when I first started to try and take Krump seriously, it was really difficult because like I came just after the sort of like Krump King's
forum era.
See, I didn't know
Didn't know any of that. No. Yeah. So I remember watching the same like handful of clips, and it's just so funny to think back to it, because now you can sort of pick up your phone, record something, record a lab, post on Instagram or whatever it might be, and you get loads of likes and comments and everything. But back in the day, it was like it was so difficult to find information. I remember watching the same tutorials over and over again from people that I still don't know who they are.
Wow.
It was just somebody you might have just learned one thing from another person, but then I was fortunate to have at least one person that like I said, I didn't have a name, but I considered him to be my big homie, and he was just dragging me like to as many places that he could, and he sort of got me involved with some other people, like Bangtown, for example, who I eventually became part of Bangtown. But this was like after I was able to sort of seek out more information. I was living in London I was probably crumping for about a year, and then I moved to London. And then when I was in London, that's just where all the crumpers were, basically. So I was able to go to the events, go to the workshops and things like that. But really, I had to sort of make the time to actually go out and find the workshops, because it's so difficult to find information. When there isn't like Instagram, and Facebook wasn't what it was, and YouTube wasn't what it was. So I was really enthusiastic about finding the workshops and things like this. So I really had to sort of, I remember, because I was living in Bristol, I remember getting like 3-hour coaches to London,
Wow.
taking the workshop 3 hours back. So when I moved, I really did take advantage of it. And one of the first events that I went to in London was, I think it was called Breakout 1.5, and actually the bro Braze was one of the judges, along with Chosen and Jay Reels, I think, if I remember right. And this was the first time I like really experienced like Krump, like in a a real Krump setting, not just in a car park with 2, 3, 4 people, let's say. So I just had to just take advantage of it, and it kind of surprises me now. And it's both like really like a great thing, and also it's not so great. But you can there's like so many tutorials on YouTube, so many online classes and things like this, that it really I just wish I had that. So I feel like the first year, like of me throwing myself into Krump seriously, is not the same as let's say somebody throwing themselves into Krump now for the first year. You can gain so much knowledge so quickly,
and so they can level up so quickly. I didn't really have that as well. I feel like all the online stuff has accelerated because of COVID, because no one could connect before. The way you really learn and connected with these people was from traveling and meeting them and going to their workshops. And there wasn't, you'd come back home and there'd be stuff on YouTube, and the odd like 1 or 2 people were doing online classes, or like an online package that you could buy. But now, since COVID, because no one could travel, no one can set up workshops, no one could do anything, Zoom like was the place to go, and people would do classes online, or they'd pre-record them and you could buy them, like just buy the link and download it. And now that's stayed, because I think now they're like, well, why weren't we doing this before? We can reach the whole world, and now there's so many people doing it, and it's amazing that people could just jump into Krump, and we could be like, okay, go here, 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 and here. You've got a whole catalogue of
and it's all the proper terminology and things like this, which it kind of took me a few years before I was really able to break down what other Krumpers were doing. Once you kind of the jab, arm swing, chest pop, stomp, and but then there's obviously much more to it than that. But although I could see it, and although I was practicing it and copying it from other people, I didn't necessarily have the terminology, because I wasn't always I didn't have the opportunity to go to America to learn Krump, or to learn from these people specifically. Not only was I not living in London for like the first period of me learning Krump, but I didn't have access to this, and the YouTube tutorials were so hit and miss back in the day. But I think a lot has changed, and I myself have taken advantage of a lot of these online classes, and it's just helped me to grow just from my room. I mean, I think that has to be the biggest compliment to the online classes is to actually be there at the session.
Oh, yeah.
So you can take all the online classes that you want, get all the sort of private tuition that you want, but until you're actually at the session, so it's a juggle. It's a juggle.
I feel like anyone coming into Krump now, you could get all the information so easily and quickly, which is amazing. And so like you could get like a really solid foundation very quick, but I feel like you still need the experiences of getting into the session, and getting into the battles and tournaments, whatever, because that is where you'll really grow. Because you could be amazing in your living room, like just off these classes, but you've got to put your skills and you're like everything you've learned into that uncomfortable situation and really test them. And I feel like the session is one of the biggest lessons as well. Like you can really like learn about yourself and the way that you move and the way that you feel in the session, and learn to control other things like that you're not really thinking about, because you're thinking, oh, am I doing this right? Is this the like technically right? But you're not actually learning how to control your nerves, how to build around like in different environments, because you've got to be in them environments to learn from them. Like, okay, in this situation I need to do this and this, but in this situation I could just do this. And I don't know, it's hard to explain.
No,
but
absolutely.
Situations I think really help you learn. Like sessions, battles,
I think
environments.
One of the biggest bits of evidence for this is just doing these online tournaments over the sort of lockdown period. We really did try. I think we entered most of the competitions that we. I know you did definitely.
As many as I could, not as many as I could, but I entered, or I'd done whatever I could to keep myself active in any way possible, whether it was an online tournament, whether it was a Zoom tournament, whether it was a Zoom lab, a challenge. I'd done whatever I could.
And even though you were doing as much as you could, actually when it got to the point where we could come back and session, I think that was a huge relief. Yeah,
I remember when I feel like over lockdown I really used the time well, because I really not mastered my craft, but like what am I saying? I really allowed myself to level up. Yeah. And I put in time. Like I labbed so much. And now that I'm back to work, my commute is like an hour there, an hour back on a good day. And so that's already 2 hours lost. Then all my day working, that's all them hours lost as well. Whereas before I would get up, I'd lab for a few hours, have something to eat, watch some footage, then I'd lab again. And I would do that day in, day out. I'd take a class, do a tournament online. And now I can't do that. And I'm like, I need them 6 hour labs back. But I haven't got the time or the energy anymore. But I felt in that time, I was like, yes, I'm solid. Like, I'm ready. And then once everything opened up and I'd done the first tournament, I was literally like this with my nerves. And I was like, well, I didn't feel like that in my living room for the last 2 years. So what is this? just chill out. And I couldn't. And then I was terrible. And I'd done a whole bag of trash for a minute in my head. I was like, what are you doing? What is this? And I couldn't control it. And I was like, well, don't I look an idiot thinking I'd learned so much and I'd got amazing. But yeah, so you can, but you've got to put yourselves in the situation.
Yeah.
You've got to do both.
Yeah, exactly. I think it, having all that knowledge and having all that information, but it doesn't really go anywhere until you're actually in the session.
Yeah, you've got to test it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it is pretty, I don't know, not useless, but you've got to be able to use what you've learned.
Those two sides, they do complement each other very well. Yeah. And it's a balance, of course. We briefly spoke about Holland as well. So we've got an early start tomorrow. I did want to ask you, actually, because obviously I know that we lab consistently, But when it comes to preparing for like a tournament setting or a specific event, does that actually change your lab at all?
Not really. Not for a tournament.
Okay.
Because see, if I'm going to an event and it's just a tournament, it's just a 1v1.
Yeah.
It doesn't change my lab, because for me, I don't know, maybe I'm doing it wrong, and maybe there's a class that can teach me how to do this right and how to lab right online, but I don't know. But I feel like with tournaments and the lab towards it, you should always be labbed for anything, and with a tournament, there's a time limit. So, you could have 45 seconds to a minute. I saw one tournament that just had 30 seconds. So you like, how much can you really prepare for, like, if I don't know, if you've got that time limit, you don't know what music you're going to get, and you don't know who you're going to battle in a tournament.
Yeah.
You don't know who you're going to go against. So you can't lab for someone. You don't even know who's going to turn up half the time.
Yeah, of course.
So you might turn up and be like, oh, I didn't know they were going to be there. Oh, I haven't labbed for them. You just need to lab for everybody. You need to lab for yourself, and really not think of the competition.
Okay.
So your goal is to be the best you, not to be like, okay, I need to lab for them, and them.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
You just need to be the best you. And then, so with tournament labs, I just
continue doing what you're doing anyways.
I just keep working on what I want to improve, what I want to add to my lab. I could just continue like that. And I feel like I do a lot of tournaments, so I don't really practice the whole 1 minute thing. I guess if you were gonna lab, you can maybe set a timer, and that could be.
Oh, I see. Record try and condense it down to just a minute.
Okay, I can now structure my lab, structure my round to a minute, or 45 seconds. When it comes to an exhibition battle, and you know who you're gonna battle, I feel like your lab will potentially change. Because you'll be like, okay, this person's like specialism is this. Maybe I need to show that I've got it too, but not like I don't have to show, like I don't have to only do that to show that I've got it too, but just to let them know, okay, I've got that, but and I've got this, and this.
Because you have that sort of response, and so when you kind of know their style, you can kind of you kind of prepare yourself to actually have a response to something that they might do.
And you might have like an intro for them, a track you get to choose yourself.
Yeah.
So that the track selection will probably change up your whole lab. One of my old dance teachers used to say when she used to make choreography, she said, I know it's good choreography if I can't do it to any other track. It has to be to that specific track.
That's interesting.
So with exhibition battles, is that the same? Could that round only be for that person?
Well, that's a very interesting point. I actually haven't really thought of it that way before.
I mean, I've just literally thought about it right now. but
no, I think that's a really interesting point. I think that because you are preparing for sort of one person, or if it's 2v2, two people, something like this, to a track that you've chosen beforehand, and actually, so like I said, you have like a decent response prepared for something that they might do, and you kind of get you know what to expect, like I said earlier, everything's on YouTube now, so you could do hours of research and any crumper, I think, at this point, but
take one of their like signature moves and like remix it on them.
Yeah, they would see it coming. They would see it coming. I think I do agree. I think when I lab consistently, I try to make sure that I'm always good. I'm always good. So if somebody called me out, if you called me out, just on a random Monday, I'd like to think I can give you rounds. But I think when it comes to tournaments, then there is a slight tweak. I guess because tournaments kind of come and go, and we always prepare in advance when we're traveling, for example. That then actually my lab changes, that I shift. I sort of work more on knowing what I'm actually going to demonstrate, what I'm actually going to show.
Right.
Or to put it even simpler than that, I don't lab my weaknesses as much. I lab more of my strengths. So that then actually when it comes down to it and I have that pre-selection, then I know that the things that I'm good at is going to come out, rather than doing something that I'm not so good at. But, I'm always constantly working on, it's almost like when there's nothing happening, I'm working on my weaknesses solidly.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. You
see what I mean?
So, yeah.
But then when it comes to, a day, a week, or something like this before a tournament or an event or an exhibition battle, then actually I think, okay, what am I actually going to demonstrate? What am I actually going to do? And so, weaknesses in the lab, and then when I'm actually preparing, or let's say like my material or something like this, then I'll have that ready to go to actually demonstrate on the day of the tournament. So I guess that's how I would kind of approach it. I think I'm in the same boat as you though. If somebody has some better advice, then I would absolutely love to hear it. But it seems to be a bit of a working system, I think. And I think it helps me to feel more confident when I step into that pre-selection, that I'm not just gonna do something that I'm not so good at. Do the things that I'm good at, which kind of sounds a bit random to say out loud, but yeah.
No, definitely. You've got to hit it with your strengths for sure. I remember at EBS, shout out to Beast. I couldn't believe that I got through, and I was like, oh my god, I got past EBS pre-selections, and he came up to me and he was like, you did it, and I was like, I know. And then I had to battle wounded Lady Mad Skills. And I was just like, oh my god. And he was like, just do what you're good at. And I was like, okay. He literally just said that. So I done
what you were good at.
Yeah.
So that I think that first battle was the one that got you through to the main stage.
Yeah. So that was day one. So that was the qualifiers. So they chose the top 20, and then so it was 10 and 10. 10 lined up and 10 lined up, and then like the top 10, I think it was, called out. I was like the bottom 10, and Wounded was the first person to call out, and she went straight for me, and I was like, you know what, if I'm fine, because I'm gonna go out to Lady Mad Skills. I get to battle Lady Mad Skills. To me, this is like one of the greatest.
There's nothing wrong with losing to somebody who is genuinely really inspirational with their Krump.
I mean, the last time there was an EBS, she was the judge, and now I'm battling her.
You're right. Yeah.
So I was just like, this is crazy to me. So I'm fine.
Yeah, whatever happens, it's all good.
And then we battled, and it was a draw, and I was like, wait, what? And then Beast was like, yeah, go on. Talk to her. I was like, okay. So we went a second round, and then all of them went to me, and so I got through to the main stage, which I was not expecting at all. And then
so that was the next day, wasn't it? Yeah,
literally the next day.
Did you go home and lab 2 a.m. in the morning, just lab
So I went back, we went back to the hotel, and I kind of thought, right, I need to think, what can I bring to the stage? The stage is massive. I'm about that big. I've got to try and fill that stage. But then I didn't want the stage to make me I didn't want it to swallow me up. So I really wanted to think about what I could do on the stage, but that made me bigger, but also that I didn't want to look washed out, that I wasn't doing any technical stuff. It was the first time ever being on that stage, so it was literally, I couldn't lab for it because I didn't know. I've never experienced it before. Yeah. So I didn't know what was good and what was bad to do. So that was the lab. When I got back to the hotel, I wrote down a couple of things, okay, what concepts can you do, because Sometimes if I just think of a concept, that could just carry me through the whole round.
Yeah.
And then I don't have to worry about, oh, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? Because the main thing for me was just to use the stage.
Yeah.
And I couldn't lab for that in a tiny hotel room.
Yeah. What else could you do, really?
Yeah. And then the main thing was just trying not to get into my head that I was going to be on the stage. And what was really, like, for me, I knew it was going to happen because I was on such a high that I got through. I was like, let's go now, next person now, because my adrenaline was like so up, and I'm like, okay, it's like the first pancake. Sometimes it's not so great in it, like, and then when you make the second one, it's like, okay, now we're on a roll.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, I don't want to stop now. Let's keep these battles going. But I had to wait a whole day, and then by then everything just dropped down. Done workshops. I tried to just be. When I went into the workshops, I tried not to really let the workshops get into my head to affect how I danced later on.
Yeah.
And then I didn't want to overexert myself in the workshop. So I mainly took notes in the workshop and recorded bits so I could go back onto it. And I went so full out that my neck and my shoulders really stiff. So I was like, I just need to loosen up and not go so full out so I'm ready for later on that evening. And then the same thing happened again with call outs. And then they actually, I think they done it backstage, like in a circle. No, they did do the 2 lines. And then Duende,
as in on the stage,
but it wasn't on the stage, it was backstage.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
And Wave pointed to Duende, Lady Doomsday, to call out first. She went straight for me, and I was like, oh my god, again, my confidence.
Have that same feeling.
I know.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, okay, cool. But then I won. So I was like, yay, two OGs. Like.
That must be such a nice feeling, because obviously, you said earlier that you weren't even really expecting to get past the pre-selections, but then actually to make such a huge impact in the main tournament as well is it's fantastic.
I hit like a few goals that I'd set over, like that I'd set over the years. So my first goal was to just pass pre-selection. That was like my first goal. And then after that, I was going to work on just winning the first battle and getting past the qualifier. And the next goal was to get on the stage. And then the next goal was to just win one battle on the stage. And I'd done all of them in one event. And I was just like, wow.
Just tick. Yeah, easy.
I like the only goal, like the first goal was literally, the benchmark was just to get past pre-selection.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect to hit the next goal, then the next goal, all in the same like event, the same year. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's such a brilliant insight. I think to hear how it was for you, because it is a very difficult thing to do, because these events are so competitive, and even smaller events, depends who's there. They're so competitive,
literally.
And actually, even after all these years, just to get past the pre-selection and find yourself on that stage, it sounds like it should be fairly simple after you've been crumping for however many years. But actually, everybody's on their lab, and there's all the different countries. I mean, we like I said, Krump is so accessible now that we see it on Instagram all the time. We see that we're just scrolling through while we're being lazy in the lab. We see the Spanish Krumpers are sessioning, the Germans are sessioning, the French are sessioning. The French especially. There's always that comparison. I think, you know what? Let me go lab instead. Instead of just watching people lab and session and battle. Actually, let me go and lab. So,
do you feel like people in other countries who get to session regularly have like such a massive advantage to those who don't?
I think that's a really good question, and I don't really have a firm answer. All right, because I think that it all comes down to I guess like knowledge or experience. I think. Because when I wasn't so involved in, or I didn't have the access to Krump in the same way that I do now. I'm thinking back to when I was using the name Tiny Bijou. I was really it was really about the lab, and so the tournaments would come. Let's just say once every 3 months, right? But then that was 3 months of lab every single time. It wasn't like 2 months off, 1 month on, 2 months off, 1 month on. So actually, I was really about the lab, and I was drilling everything. And even though I didn't have as much knowledge as I do now, actually, I was using that in such a stronger capacity, right? So it's hard to judge because I don't know. I literally don't know how it is to sort of live in Spain or something like that and be involved in the Krump scene there. But I think that it all just depends. It depends more on the sort of individuals. And there are people that I've battled that I really did think would kill me off, Yeah. And but I was able to sort of compete with them. And then suddenly I'm in France. For me, one of my favorite countries for Krump. And I make it past the pre-selection, and I'm battling these people that I only watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
But I feel like I see what they're doing, and I think, wow, I wish I was there. I wish I was in France.
Yeah.
But then I am actually beating people. Some people are not getting past the pre-selection. Some people that I'm like, that person is crazy buck, and they don't get past the pre-selection, and I do. So it's kind of like I think it's one thing to be envious of like some of the other Krump scenes, but I don't know if that always equals like the results. I think it's quite independent for each individual. I think some people they work 2 jobs and they have 6 kids and they got their own business and They can't be labbing every single day. I mean you might see them all the time on Instagram. I can't even think of any kind of particular individual who lives this kind of lifestyle, but I think it's quite an individual thing. I don't know if you agree. I think I would like to be, let's say, I keep talking about France just because I was watching the live from FCD, Sniper versus Cyborg. I don't know if you had a chance to catch up on that yet.
I haven't watched it yet, no.
It's craziness, and so this is why I keep talking about France. But they have such a massive scene. I wish I was there. But sometimes, and I wish I had more confidence than I do. Yeah. But when I go to these events, and I'd like to think that the same thing will happen in our trip to Holland tomorrow, where I'll pleasantly surprise myself by winning or getting a bit further than I thought I was, or battling somebody that I really did think was going to beat me. I'll take the win anyways. Fingers crossed. Wish me luck. But yeah, so it's actually a really difficult question. I don't know if I have like a really firm answer. So yeah.
It is See, I feel like people do have an advantage. If I like look at the States, like LA in particular, if you look at Cali, like all the greats around them, all the OGs, like you could just rock up to a session and there'd be like Solo there, there'd be Riot there, there'll be like DCX, like so you've got Fudge, you've got like B-Bark, all of them. And you could pull up to a session and there'll be people like that there that you can session with who will really push you.
The people that we're saying, do they have online classes? What's the latest footage? And actually they're just there on a bit of a casual basis.
They have like sessions like every day. There's like DCX on Monday. You've got Beast Camp. You've got the 818. You've got the OC sessions. Like every single day. So you could pull up to a session and it will be a different environment because it could be in a garage, it could be in a studio. Like DCX is in a Fud's barbershop, I think.
Yeah.
And like different people, but amazing people. You're not gonna slack. You're gonna push.
Yeah.
Like everywhere you go, and you're gonna pick up things as you're going along. So like if you're just labbing at home, you've got to really be accountable to lab. Yeah. And if you've got no session to go to, where can you test it? Until if there's like they're every single day, and over here I'm gonna talk about UK now. Over here, we haven't got a consistent session. Yeah. We haven't got every Friday or every Sunday or every whatever day at this time. Every week. Same
place, every week.
Yeah, there isn't one.
Yeah. You have to kind of like look out for it a little bit or organize it yourself.
Yeah.
And yeah, but even then, it comes and goes. It depends on people's availability. Yeah, but I think because it's quite an extreme example, like
Oh yeah. Because like UK, LA, like they're completely
having a session on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday. Yeah, I think I think you're right. I think I would really benefit from being able to session every day.
I can imagine France is the same though, because they have consistent sessions. Like, isn't Bounce on Walls every Thursday?
Yeah, I think you might be right. They have a few different places, and even like if you're not based in Paris, there's still sessions.
Yeah.
Dotting around. After that, I'd have to double check the names of the sessions.
Do some research, yeah.
But yeah, I know there's always things happening, and that's not even including like the smaller labs, more personal labs between like FAMs or crews, etc. So yeah, that's kind of where I want UK to be. But that's why we have Buck the Bridge.
Yeah.
In January, in February, in March. Yes, we have 3 events coming up, and so this is part of why we want to bring this Battle League concept forward, right?
Yeah, to help push everyone.
Yeah. I mean, it's open to everybody, and I think it's really nice to have some people who have 1 month of experience come along and do some craziness, as well as the more experienced people who they might be there competing, or one of our judges or something like this. I think it's just about bringing that consistency, and now we've got a reason to. You got 3 weeks to lab, and then an event, another 3 weeks, 4 weeks event, 3 weeks, 4 weeks event, and so actually bringing that consistency, and we sort of spoke about earlier about always being ready, and I think the reason that we want these like consistent events is just so that you've always got a place to go, always got a reason to lab, always got the next thing that is going to happen, and then we'll take a little break where we're gonna session. We haven't even mentioned all the sessions that we have in between, anyways. Just locally with particularly with House of Thieves. I mean, I say that everyone's welcome, but typically it's House of Thieves and friends. I'll put it that way. Yeah. So yeah, I am really looking forward to the next event. In the 22nd.
So next weekend. So we've got Holland's this weekend, and then next weekend's our event.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it, and it's gonna be event 1 of the three tournaments. Everybody will take points away. We'll have the leaderboard out, and we'll see who the overall winner is at the end of season 3. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to go to LA. We have Buck the Bridge here. Oh, gosh. Well, yeah. Thank you again. Episode 2 of the podcast.
Episode 2. Hope you liked us rambling on.
Yeah. We sort of get carried away. I think we discussed only a couple of topics, and then suddenly da 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 da. All right. Hey, that's why I like talking to you. So I appreciate it.
If you have any questions for House of Thieves, or about UK Krump, or about Krump in general, write us a message or put it in the comments, and we can discuss it.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe wherever you're watching this. Click the follow, subscribe button, wherever it might be. Just like Go Right said, any questions, we want to hear them. Anything you want to hear us discuss, we want to know. So until the next episode, peace.
Peace.